we want to talk about making selections, and quite often we will want to select or make changes to part of an image in Photoshop. And so you do that by selecting groups of pixels. Of course, we can select the entire object, but quite often we want to select just part of an object. So we have a couple of different tools that do that. The first group of tools that we want to look at is the selection tools themselves. You have the rectangle tool, you have the oval tool, and then you also have the single row of pixels tool, which we really don't use very much at all. But these two, the rectangle and the oval, we use quite a bit, and then we're going to take a look at using the lasso tools, and so they which are more for freeform shapes. So we use all of these together, and we can mix and match them. And I'll just start with the oval, and I bring it over and I select part of my image. Now if I make any kind of a change or I apply a filter, I'll go right up here under Image, Adjustments, and I'll come down to Hue and Saturation. And you can see very easily that when we make a change, that change takes place within and only within the selected area. Okay? So we use these tools quite a bit. And when we also use these tools, we can add to selections and take away from the selected area. And I'm going to get you to look at here in the upper left-hand corner underneath the word Photoshop, we have several different filters that we can use to do that. The first one is to add to a selection. So I will click that, and now when I use the selection tool, notice that it is going to expand the area. Notice I overlap the first area, and you can see it's now a larger area. Okay? And if I go to the next tool, or the next little filter up here, it subtracts, takes away from the selection. So let's try that. And I'm going to switch to a different tool, one of the marquee, or what we call the lasso tools. And so here I'm going to use the takeaway. And notice, if you can, that there's a little minus, by the way, next to the symbol, indicating that it's going to remove part of the selection. So I will just click and drag this big chunk, and once again you see it made the selection smaller. So we have a couple of these different filters, and again we can mix and match using the different selection tools. You can also on the fly, if you will, using shortcuts, I can press the Shift key and it automatically gives me the add to the selection. Okay, there again you see I just added to it, and I can press the option on PC, Alt, to take away from the selection. There again. Okay, so we have the Shift and the Option Alt keys to do it on the fly, or we can do it from up here in the upper corner, picking these filters. The another thing about making selections is that we can either have a hard edge from any selection, and here I'm going to make an oval, and I'm just clicking my big delete button, and you see it has a hard edge to it. I can also, with any of these tools, again with the lasso tools or these rectangle or oval tools, I can add, before I make my selection, I can add feathering right up here in the options bar. Remember, the options bar always has the things that affect how the tool behaves. And so I'm going to put in 10, for instance, 10 pixels. And now when I make a selection, and if I'm going to do that from the options bar, I have to add the feathering before I make the selection. So here's the selection, and notice now the difference. You see a feathered edge and or a hard edge. We can also, if we forget to add the feathering before we make our selection, and we want to do that, there is another place that we can add the feathering after we've already made the selection. So here's a selection, okay? You see it would be a hard edge, all right? But I can go up under the main menu, select, modify, and feather. Select, modify, and feather. And here I can add the amount after I've already made the selection. And there you see how that works, okay? The next way that we can make selections or of part of an image is by the color of pixels. And we do that with the next tool called the magic wand. The magic wand right here. And when we click on part of the image with the magic wand, you see it selects part of the image. Now, this tool behaves in a way that allows us to either get more of the image or less of the image. And once again, it has to do with looking at the options bar. Where the feathering was, there is now a thing called the tolerance. The tolerance. And the idea here is very simple. If there's a small number in the tolerance, let's say a 10, and I click on a dark pixel, all it does is select a very small area of pretty much the exact same or very close to that color pixel that I clicked on, okay? And if I put in a higher number in the tolerance, what that's going to tell the computer is I want you to grab a larger or wider group or array of colors. So when I put in a 40 and I click on this pixel, you see I've got a little bit bigger area selected. And the idea is that if I click on an area and I have a large number in the tolerance, it'll get lighter blue pixels in this case and darker blue pixels, which essentially means a much larger area is selected. And we can shift click to add more of the selected area. We could, when we made the selection, have gone up in the main menu again and added a feather, okay? And basically that's how we select parts of an image.